Imagine a strategy so tightly guarded that the person it's designed to protect has no idea how far it actually goes. Right now, behind the ancient walls of Buckingham Palace, an operation is quietly unfolding. Two of the most influential figures in the royal family have reportedly come together, not for a celebration, not for a public appearance, but to build a wall. Not one made of stone, but of protocol, silence, and carefully controlled access. And the reason this wall is going up will make you rethink everything you assumed about the royal rift. I'm talking about an alleged protective shield around King Charles, a deliberate and highly coordinated effort to insulate the monarch from emotional turbulence. According to multiple reports emerging from inside royal circles, Prince William and Queen Camilla have formed what insiders are calling an unprecedented alliance. Their shared mission is simple on the surface, but deeply consequential. Keep anything and anyone that could destabilize the king at a firm distance. The palace, sources claim, has reached a breaking point, and this new move signals a dramatic new chapter for the House of Windsor. Now, before I go any further, I need to make something clear. A lot of this information comes from unnamed courtiers, so-called royal insiders, and journalists with a track record of breaking palace stories. It has not been officially confirmed by Kensington Palace or Buckingham Palace. So, as you listen, keep in mind that we are piecing together a puzzle that the institution itself would prefer to keep under wraps. The immediate question you're probably asking is why now? What changed? To understand that, we have to rewind just a few weeks to a moment that should have been a simple family visit, but instead became a flashpoint. Prince Harry returned to the UK for a well-publicized event. Under normal circumstances, a son visiting his home country would likely arrange to see his father, especially given everything that has happened over the past few years. Yet, according to multiple accounts, no meeting took place. Not a private dinner, not a quick cup of tea, not even a brief moment away from cameras. Reportedly, the king's schedule was cleared in a very specific way, and that decision was not accidental. Here's where the narrative takes a fascinating turn. Sources suggest that William and Camilla both played decisive roles in ensuring that face-to-face contact did not happen. For anyone who has followed royal dynamics over the decades, that name pairing, William and Camilla working in tandem, is staggering. Historically, their relationship has been described as polite but distant at best. The idea that they are now coordinating on a strategy to guard the king tells you just how serious the situation has become. The core concern, according to reports, revolves around King Charles's health. The monarch is currently undergoing cancer treatment, a fact the palace has acknowledged while remaining tight-lipped about specifics. Medical experts unrelated to the royal household have repeatedly emphasized that for any patient dealing with a serious illness, emotional stress can be a significant complicating factor. And the relentless cycle of allegations, documentaries, interviews, and memoir revelations coming from the Duke and Duchess of Sussex has, insiders claim, created a near-constant state of uncertainty and tension within the palace. So what exactly is this protective shield? It's not a literal barrier, but a coordinated system of information management. Sources describe it as a deliberate filtering process. Every piece of news, every potential controversy, every public statement from California is assessed before it ever reaches the king's ears. Staff members have allegedly been instructed to redirect certain communications, delay briefings that contain potentially inflammatory material, and ensure that His Majesty's daily routine remains as calm and predictable as possible. One former palace employee who spoke anonymously compared it to a royal firewall, letting through what is necessary, blocking what is harmful. But this leads to an even more uncomfortable question. Is this shield exclusively about health, or is there a larger power play unfolding? Because when you look at the pattern, the timing aligns with something much bigger. Prince William has taken on an increasingly prominent role over the past year. He is no longer just the heir learning the ropes, he is actively shaping the monarchy's future, making decisions that will define his own reign. Protecting his father, some commentators argue, is also about protecting the institution itself from another explosive revelation that could shake public trust. Every time a new claim emerges from Montecito, the palace must spend weeks managing the fallout. By controlling what reaches the king, William and Camilla are also controlling the speed and nature of any official response. That brings us to the most painful part of this unfolding story, the prospect of reconciliation. For years, despite the harsh words and public accusations, there remained a sliver of hope, however faint, that King Charles and his younger son might eventually find common ground. Many royal watchers believed that Charles, as a father, would always leave a door open. But if this protective protocol is as robust as sources claim, that door may not just be closed, it may be locked from the inside. Because any meaningful reconciliation would require open communication, unfiltered dialogue, and a willingness to risk emotional upheaval. Those are precisely the things the shield is designed to prevent. Think about what that means for Harry. If his own father is now ringed by a system that blocks unfiltered access, then the path back becomes nearly impossible to navigate. He cannot simply pick up the phone and expect a direct conversation. He cannot write a letter and assume it will be read without context. Every attempt at contact must go through layers of scrutiny, and the two people directing that scrutiny are his brother and his stepmother. That is a profoundly isolating position, and it raises a deeply human question. Does the king even know everything that is being kept from him? Or is he, in some ways, the last to know what his protectors have decided on his behalf? I want to be fair here. It is entirely possible that this arrangement reflects what the king himself wants. After all, he has remained publicly silent about his personal feelings for a long time. Palace spokespeople consistently emphasize that the king is focused on his duties and his recovery. But the absence of a meeting during Harry's recent visit, combined with the tightly controlled scheduling, makes it difficult to believe that this is simply a coincidence. The optics suggest a carefully orchestrated strategy, one that prioritizes stability over sentiment. And what about Kate, the Princess of Wales? Her role in this has been more subtle but no less important. Reports indicate that she is fully aligned with William's approach, offering her own insights from years of navigating the intense pressures of royal life. Having faced her own health challenges recently, she understands better than most what it means to protect a loved one from unnecessary stress. According to one source, she has been a quiet but firm supporter of creating boundaries that safeguard the family's emotional well-being, even if those boundaries appear harsh to the outside world. Now the picture becomes clearer. This is not just about one missed meeting or a short-term cooling-off period. This is about a fundamental recalibration of how the royal family handles internal conflict. The days of chaotic, reactive damage control may be ending. In their place is a disciplined, almost corporate approach to emotional risk management. And the central question every observer is now asking is whether this strategy will actually work. Can you truly protect a monarch from heartbreak without also isolating him from any chance of healing a fractured family? The palace, as always, offers no official comment on private family matters, but the silence itself is a statement. When an institution that lives by symbolism and public image chooses to let these stories circulate without denial, it often signals a carefully calculated message. That message, if I were to decode it, sounds something like this: the priority is the crown, and those who threaten its stability will be kept outside the gates, not with a dramatic public shunning, but with a quiet, methodical erasure of access. There is a layer of tragedy here that even the most cynical observer can recognize. A father, battling a serious illness, separated from his younger son not by physical distance, but by a wall of protocol. A brother, once inseparable from his sibling, now positioned as the architect of that separation. And a family, living in different continents, speaking different languages of loyalty and grievance. The protective shield, whether you view it as necessary or extreme, is a reflection of just how broken those bonds have become. So where does this go from here? The upcoming months will be revealing. There are state occasions on the calendar, family milestones that usually bring members together. Will the shield bend for those moments, or will the pattern of distance become permanent? Prince Harry is reported to have ongoing legal commitments in the UK, which means he will return. The real test will be whether the protocol evolves or whether each return is met with the same silent exclusion. And crucially, whether King Charles himself will ever choose to override the very system his closest allies built around him. As I wrap this up, I want you to sit with one final unsettling thought. The monarchy has survived for over 1,000 years because it adapted. It absorbed shocks, evolved its rules, and above all, protected the sovereign. But in today's world, where personal dramas play out on a global stage, the line between protection and isolation becomes blurry. What if the shield built to save the king ends up defining his legacy not as a reconciler, but as a man who was shielded even from his own son's voice? That is a question no palace briefing can answer, and it hangs in the air like an unresolved chord.